create a new assembly, go over here to the plus sign, bottom left hand corner, left click, create assembly. We're going to rename this full frame assembly. Let's go back to the back frame, highlight all of those parts, right click, copy 24 items, left click on full frame, right click, paste 24 items. That's going to be our starting point. Let's go up, insert, let's find our spars. So there's part 8, our spar. Let's left click on that, close that out, come over, let's look at it in front view, let's right click, let's go to 90 degrees, left click on fasten, left click here on the front part of that, left click here on the outer part, let that fasten. This will give us some leeway so that we can move this in and out based on where we need it. But let's go ahead and do an offset. Let's do, I believe this one is going to be a Z offset like everything else. Let's go 2 inches for right now. Actually, let's go 2.5 inches so you can see how far that moved in. And we may have a little bit more leeway here, but we definitely want it past our rivet holes, bolt holes. All right, good. Got that one in. Let's go do the other one. Left click, insert, go down to part 8, left click, close that out right here, and let's go 90 degrees so we can get it in the direction we want. Let's move this over, or you might accidentally select the wrong part. So for me, it's much easier to see if I do it this way, that I've got the right parts connected. Let's go to offset. I'm going to change our view here so we can see that a little bit better. Just using the mouse wheel to scroll in, Z axis, let's go 2.5 just like the last. All right, good, got that one. Insert, let's go down to part 8, connect that, left click here, close that out. Let's drag that over, kind of get it close to where it's going to go. Bring that up. Click on fasten, left click here, scroll around. Let's go to offset, 2.5, close that out. All right, so we got all the spars on. Let's go in and add the spar hoop connection. Now it says side spar connection. These are going to be connections that are going to go not just on the side spars, but on the top spar too. So left click, fasten mate, click on that, click on that. There we go. Let's see if that is in the right orientation. Yeah. So let's go offset 2 inches there. See if that's going to be too far. Now this one we set up so that we could still adjust here, have some adjustment. You notice that that tube could come out. In a real world assembly, in a full scale assembly with real parts, if that tube was too long at that point, we could just cut it off. We could put it on, get it sized where it needs to go, cut it off from that point. I'm going to repeat that process. Go out to front plane. All right, good. We've got those on. Let's go ahead and insert our hoop. Now remember, this is going to help us create the hoop segments. So we already created those at part 9, but the reason we created part 19 is for alignment, to get everything adjusted and centered up. Right click, show mates. Let's go to fastener 2. Let's go 3 inches in depth there. Close that one out. Open this one up. And let's go 2.5 here and see how close we get. We may have to change the length a little bit. Like I said, I would rather have more than less. All right, that's looking good. And that's assuming right now that we are lined up, which we're not. Let's go to right view. I'm going to bring this in right there. And if we needed to, we could rotate this back, but I would rather have our angle set in. So we're going to go back and change that offset. Remember I said if we set it 30 degrees, it may not be where we want it. We'll do that last. All right, that's close. Let's go into Part Studio. Let's go to the spar length. This will be easy to change. Left click on that. I'm going to turn it on. Left click. That'll show us where our sketches are. We'll go to front view. We're at 22. So we're at 22. Let's go 21 inches for all of those. I don't want to go too low and then have to just come back and change it. And let's see what that does. Let's go back to our full frame. Yeah, that lines us up pretty good. I'll just show you each step because it took a while and I didn't want to make this a super long video. Right clicked on this piece, show mates. I went down, I found the one that had the distance here, again adjusting up and down. I did the same thing for that tube, but I went to fasten mate 6 and then I changed the angle. It was at 30 degrees. I changed it to 21.75. This may vary a little bit, so you'll just have to play it by ear, but it should be fairly close to that, and that'll line that up well. I went back into Part Studio because I found that some of these tubes were too long. I opened up the spars, so I turned it on so that you could see it, and then I left clicked on it, and then I went into the sketch that had the distance, and I changed that to 20.5 instead of 21. And back, once it's saved, you can go back in, you can see your changes, and I just kept making those adjustments until I get everything fairly lined up. We're going to go in and add these hoop segments and use this tube to align it. So let's go insert. Let's go over, find our Part 9 hoop segment. We'll get it lined up. It's not going to be perfect when we place it in there, but we will adjust over time. And let's stay in front view and let's change the angle there. I'm going to try to line these up. And then we'll come back to front view. And we'll continue to play around with that until we get these perfectly in line. We can turn off that part 19, and see that it's lined up. And so we're just using that hoop to line everything and get it perfectly in line. And then if we want to, we can go in and do that even better. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. I won't make you watch each one. So I'm going to turn the visibility of this part off. I'm going to go up here to fasten mate because I want this one to move to that one. Then I'm going to go back and turn that part back on. Part 15. Turn that hoop segment off for just a sec. I'm going to line that up. Then we'll do our offset. Z offset by 2 inches. Probably don't want it to go that far for these, so let's go 1.5. See how everything lines up. I'm going to turn Part 19 back off just so we can have a better visual. There we go. So that changed the angle. So now we can do that rotation. Now this is not necessary. I mean, you don't have to do this. You could just line these hoop segments up to the hoop because we're just trying to see if they fit. I'm going to go up to that mate connector. We're going to rotate around the Z axis. And let's see which direction we need to go. Let's go 30 degrees here. All right, wrong way. So let's go 270. Let's see what that does. That's too far. Let's go 340. All right, so much closer. So we're going to be pretty close to 340. Let's go less than, let's go 335. All right, that's too low. So we're going to be somewhere right around here. We could do another make connector, I bet. But anyway, let's go. Let's see if we can get this to work. Close. Closer. Too far. And that's all I was doing on the last video, is just going around seeing what was connecting to that fastener. Where were we at? 2.1. I want to see where that messes up those fasteners. I think we're good there. Make a shorter bottom hoop segment. So we've got the bend right, but this is centered up, so these can be based on that 90-degree segment. These are going to have to be based on a lesser degree. I'm going to guess around 75 just based on the last assembly. So we're going to go back to Part Studio, and we're going to create another part just based on what we find here, and it's going to be part 20. So let's turn some of these off, and let's go sketch. Oh, let's go to top plane, sketch, top plane, center point circle, drag that out, drag this out, and let's go 0.77 or 73. Left click line tool. Let's click on here. Let's drag this down. Hit escape. Left click on the dimension tool. Left click here. Left click here. 28-degree radius. Scroll out to the revolve tool. Let's close this sketch out. Go to revolve. Faces to sketch. Select our circle. Revolve axis right here. Let's go to front view, or isometric view. Let's go one direction. Let's go 75 degrees. Hit enter. Close that out. And let's go and rename this bottom hoop segment. That'll give us part 20. Right click on it. Edit appearance. Let's make it silver. Let's go back into full frame. Left click on that. Close that out. Let's rotate that. And let's make sure it's going to be close to the length that we need. Let's bring that in. And that's just a little bit too long, so we're going to shorten it. All right, let's go back to Part Studio. Let's open that revolve up 70 degrees. Let's see what that gives us. Close. Let it save, go back. Yeah, let's shorten that just a little bit. Let's go left click. Let's go to Part Studio. Let's go back to Part 20. Let's go to that revolve, and let's go 68 degrees. Let's go back to full frame assembly. I would rather it be too long, because we can always trim these down real world. So I'm going to go higher on my estimate based on this. So I'm going to click inside the box, and I'm going to use my wheel to rotate it. Oh man, that's close. Right there. Yeah, that's going to be about as close as we can get right now. Now, we're not going to get these perfect, because these are not, a lot of these connections are not shaped to bend with the tubing, and that's okay, because our tube bender, or my tube bender, leaves a little flat portion here at the end, so I know it's going to align with this being straight. Let's go insert. We've got one more part to put on, and then we'll be done. We're going to go swing arms. Let's put that there. We may have to resize these because when I looked at that, it looked a little too long. I want to look at total length. So we're going to select this line here. Let's go show max distance. And that gives 28 inches. That is way too long. We would like to get that down to about 18. So we're going to reduce the length of some of these segments here. To Part Studio, let's turn our bottom hoop segment on. Let's go back to our swing arms. Let's activate it. Click on it. Let's go back to our sketch. Let's go to right view, and let's change the length of these. Let's go down 7 inches here. See what that does. 7 inches here. That should be around 14. Let's go 1 inch here. That'll work. And let's reduce that down to 5. That looks better. Like that really looks way better than it did before. So what I'm doing is trying to change that curve by pulling this line in and out. I want that to be a little bit deeper there. All right, good. And that was just radius of the bend. I was just clicking on that link to change the angle of the bend there. Let's close that out. Now what I want to do is check that length here. That looks pretty good. We want this fairly deep here, because our armpit, this is going to be right up underneath our arm. Left click here, let's measure that length from here to there. Let's go max. Good, that's 20 inches. That's pretty good. We could shorten this if we wanted to, but I think we'll just go with that. I'm going to go up, left click sketch here. I'm going to go left click, I'm going to center point circle here. I want to move this one right there. Good, that looks good. Let's resize that. That is going to be 0.314, and we can change the size of that later on for that 8mm bolt, M8 bolt. Left click, center point circle. Left click there. Good. Let's go to our dimension tool, left click on the edge of that, and go 0.314. Good. That'll give us a bolt hole. So the reason I wanted to put these center point circles there is to keep it in the same sketch, so I wouldn't have sketches way down here that go to the swing arm. So I'm going to left click on the swing arm again. I'm going to go back to that sketch 20. There we go. I'm going to go out here. I want to be able to see. Let's go right view. I'm going to go extrude. So I picked up those circles I had highlighted. I want to go remove. Symmetric. There we go. Close that out. There we go, and we have our bolt holes. Perfect. Full frame assembly. That now has been shortened. What that's going to allow us to do is align that hole with this one. And we can use that for our connection. So let's go on this side. Left click, fasten, left. There. I want that tube to fasten to that tube. There. Perfect. Now let's go front plane. Let's go 1 inch. Let's see if those are touching. We're close. Let's go 0.95. good. That one's done. Let's do the other one. Insert, front view, swing arm, put it here, close that out, go back to top view, bring that over here. Let's go, see if we can get the cylinder here. Yeah, cylinder for that one. Those connect, offset. Let's go 2 inches. Wrong way, should have known that. -1, that's close. -0.75. Let's see where those are at. Let's go 4 or 5. Everything looks good there. So our next step is to print off all of these parts. We'll go back into Part Studio and we'll right click and we'll export these parts one at a time. We'll bring those into our slicing software for Bamboo Labs or whatever 3D printer you're using, and we'll arrange those. So that's going to be our next step. So we now have our full frame assembly. We can be confident that everything's going to go together, and now we have something that we can adjust over time based on what we discover with the first assemblies